everybody. This is Mitch Ashley.
And I'm Alan Schimmel.
And you're listening to
Security Boulevard, out on the boulevard.
Yeah, baby. Chats on the boulevard. Welcome. Good to be talking security with you, Alan.
Absolutely, Mitch. It's been too long. You know, whenever I say out on the boulevard, I always get mixed up between a Bruce Springsteen song and the Kinks.
And the Kinks, and then
Celluloid Heroes.
What about
Hollywood
Sheryl Crow?
Boulevard.
Out on the boulevard. You know.
Maybe that's what it is, Sheryl Crow. You know, I saw her on, was it the Grammys or another show? She looks great.
She's still, she's still making great music and performing.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I'll make a confession. I always had sort of a crush on Sheryl Crow.
Well, who didn't, great.
Okay. Why? Everyone did? I thought it was just me.
No, I checked online. Everybody does. Not.
All right. Just saying. All right. I can see we made the right at the fork. I guess we should have taken the left fork.
Yeah, boy, this is a different podcast. That's not.
Yeah, but it's good to be back on Security Boulevard, and hopefully we'll get back into things here on a more regular cadence.
Yeah,
because there's so much as usual going on in the world of cyber. We're coming back into conference season, and we've already announced our RSA lineup, an RSA event for this year where we'll be doing AI and cybersecurity and its influence on, or its effect on app dev. That's Monday of RSA week, so very excited with that.
Well, hey, I want to put a plug in for that too, because the speakers at this thing, I thought last year was great, but you're talking about, the CISO from Anthropic and from
OpenAI, and Llama or Meta.
AWS will be there.
Yes. Well, it's a leader from AWS. She lives down here in Miami, actually, who's written all kinds of books and spoken at TEDs. And she's a rock star.
She has the
if you go to
the Hitchhiker's Guide to AI or something. I forgot what the book is called. It's not that.
If you go to TechStrongEvents.com, you can get all of the speakers. Mitch, I think you're going to do the panel there this year, right?
Yeah, I'm doing the panel, and I'm excited because we're working on what the topic will be, working with the panelists on that. But, I think I always like to take kind of so what does this mean approach, and what do we have to do to prepare organizations, or how do we adopt this, or where are we, and what are the challenges we're running into? So trying to bring I want to take something away in that respect, as well as listening to, these other thought leaders on this. So it's going to be a fantastic event, and it's free. If you're registered for RSAC, you're invited. Come join the party.
Right. Even if you just have an expo only, as a matter of fact, even if you don't, we will be publishing a code for a free expo only pass that'll get you into our show Monday, as well as the expo during the week. And if you've never been to RSA, there's usually you're only one of 40 or 45,000 people that'll be there. If you're even mildly interested in cybersecurity, I highly recommend it.
We'll put a link in the descriptions. Folks can go kind of pre-register to get.
Absolutely. Very cool. But Mitch, let's turn our, gaze to cybersecurity. We were talking earlier in DevOps Unbound that overall IT job growth, or at least unemployment, has gone up as of the end of at the end of 2024. First time in a long time that we've seen unemployment tick up for IT in recent memory.
Oh, forever. I don't remember. Other than maybe 2008 kind of time, where it might have.
I don't even know if that IT necessarily took the hit.
I don't remember it. I have to go check that. But, it's interesting. Unemployment going up, I think it was about 2 points to 5.7%. But at the same time, the projection of security people that we need, the resources and the talent that we need for security is still climbing through the roof. It's not going down. Employment needs are still there. And you could say, well, why is that? Yes, we have more attacks and more security, more things to secure. Lots of good reasons. Some people point to AI and how we're going to secure AI and all the new skills that we're going to need for that as well. So we've kind of piled on to what already was we can't hire enough good folks, in security too. Now we need that skill on top of it.
I thought about that a little bit, Mitch. And I mean, look, when we look at AI and security, there's kind of two sides of the coin. One I call AI is friend, one I call AI is foe, right? Mm-hmm. From the friend point of, and I don't mean the Vietnamese noodle soup. From the friend,
that's fine.
So easy for us to get distracted, my God.
It is. Squirrel.
So, from the friend point of view, harnessing AI to make our security more effective is giving a shot of innovation into the whole AI ecosystem. How do we use AI to better spot intrusions, to better respond to security incidents, to do things faster with greater efficiency? Right? And that in itself is game-changing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course, the other side, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the other side of it is the bad guys use it too. And they're doing some new amazing things, right? The phishings and the text, what do they call text message spam?
I don't know what it's called. I get too much.
There's phishing, smishing, SMS. I was getting some last week from, purporting to be like Easy Pass and SunPass, like the toll companies.
Yeah, I just got one of those.
That I was going to get penalties if I didn't click here and pay. You got to look at the URLs real close to see that they're, both fake URLs. So I think just what we need, make security harder. But that's the reality of it.
And bigger. Yeah. It's interesting. I've said before, sorry, don't mean to offend anybody, but security has languished in terms of real innovation, I think. I mean, there's so much of what we do now is a variation of an evolution of what you and I did, 20, 25 years ago. And, blockchain, as innovative as it was and as much it was going to change everything, it changed some things for crypto and a few other applications, but it didn't change, that wasn't the magic silver bullet to solving our security problems by any stretch. And so the real innovation, I think, happens on the attacker side. They're the first early adopters. They're adopting AI first to attack us with it. And, I think we're slow to respond in how we use AI to our advantage in not only defense, but in response. And I'm not saying we aren't working on it, but dang it, folks, let's get on the front end of this curve and get aggressive about solving some of these challenges, and let's really innovate. Let's out-innovate the attackers instead of just responding to attackers. That's my position.
Mitch, we've spent so much money on prevention, and keep, if you're a stranger, what you can get in and out of our systems. To me, the Achilles heel still, and the root of all evil for 80% of our security issues are stolen credentials. Mm-hmm. Most people don't brute force their way in. They get in because they already have the credentials, the username and passwords, right? I think whether, is that how ransomware is delivered? Someone clicks on a bad link or somehow gives up their credentials. So whether it's ransomware or low and slow sort of attacks or what have you, it's still that weakest link in the chain. And even though two-factor authentication and biometrics and, all of these things we've tried to put in place that strengthen that user credential sign-on, single sign-on, zero auth, it's still the weakest link in the chain, it seems.
Well, attackers are like water damage. They'll find whatever the easiest way to get in and, fill your basement, or the one place that in your car window where where the lining isn't quite matching the window, and it'll find its way in. And it's not that it's finding the rare exception. It's finding the easiest place to get in. Well, what's the easiest place? Just people and credentials and things like that. And, it's been true. It's still true. And, we use passwords for how long? Well, at least they aren't, telling that unencrypted, text going across the wire.
Oh,
But
we went through that stage.
we did. Yeah. Do you still allow, telling that on your network? But it certainly is. And I think, if you think about, okay, well, if that's still the people, the human element is still, I don't want to say the weakest point, but the easiest entry point. At the same time, what we have access to as individuals is infinitely expanded, right? Think of everything that's available on our cell phone or on our laptop. We don't use a VPN now to get in, right? We use VPN technology embedded within applications and networking. But still, the things that are located on our laptops and cell phones, and now you don't have to get to the directory to have, the golden credentials for everything. It might be sitting here in a Excel file on your laptop. So it's the things you can get to are so much greater as an attacker, rather than I've got to get to that one server that's going to let me escalate upwards instead of, horizontally, laterally.
Agreed. Mitch, I get so you got that Midwestern calm thing. I get so frustrated by the whole thing because, to me, this is something we should have licked already. Right? We have the means to lick it, but we just don't seem to be able to do it. I'm sorry. The other thing, Mitch, I wanted to talk about in the same vein, right? For many of us, the whole software supply chain security issue sort of started with the SolarWinds attack.
Yeah, that was, I think, at least visibly to the broader market, that was true. And it had happened before that. But, so much was paid attention of bad software getting pushed out to customers. Well, yes, that happened. That was the end result. The real attack was into the software build process, and attackers getting in that through developer credentials and then hiding themselves sufficiently so that when a build kicked off, they would kick off their code to insert errant code into the build, unless something was snooping around, might get their attention. Then they would go back and acquiesce for a while. Pretty sophisticated stuff. But that's what got into this. That's what got into the water supply that eventually poisoned the downstream.
And nothing's been the same.
Right.
But here's an interesting story. We discussed it on Textron Gang. So some PE company, reputable, not some flabbergasted, a good PE company, just I think they're acquiring SolarWinds for $4.4 billion and taking it private with the idea of, I don't know, loading debt on, as PE like to do, right? Because they finance these deals on debt,
costs, right? I mean, they love
and then shedding costs, and then I don't know, maybe some M&A activity, and then maybe taking it back public again. Here's an interesting factoid: the price of SolarWinds today, the day we recorded this, is about the same price it was when it first went public, I think in 2018. So before the incident, the security issue. So it went public in 2018. It went up. It went down. It went below that 2018. Came back up, and it's right where it was then. And now some PE company's going to buy it. But you know the story with PE companies, Mitch, right? They break some eggs to make those omelets. You don't know if SolarWinds is going to survive. Will it ever be public again? Maybe. what are the odds of it being public versus the odds of it being dismembered or sold off piecemeal to some other company? I don't know.
Well,
or combined with other companies.
I hesitate to make this comparison because it's not, truly faithful. But you think about what Musk's approach is of buying a company and getting there and ripping it apart, finding out what's in it and getting rid of a bunch of stuff. Maybe that's to an extreme of how he does it, but maybe not. That's a lot of what PE firms do. Of here's what it looks from the outside, and from as much as you can learn from due diligence, now you get inside and you can say, well, here's economies that we can make. Here's wasteful spending, quote unquote, on what we don't think we need to be spending on, and personnel changes and synergies, all that kind of thing. What comes out isn't what started when it came in. It isn't just to make it bigger and better. It's to make it profitable, and sometimes profitable selling off parts of it. Sometimes it's emerging as, whatever the next generation of the company is going to be. But it usually looks pretty different than where it started. There's a reason why they got bought by a PE firm, right? Not because they're doing fantastically and don't need other people's money. It's stock price, things like that.
Sure. I mean, what's something worth? Well, whatever someone will pay for it. So this PE firm obviously thinks at that price. Well, but with PE, like I said earlier, it's a funny, fuzzy math, because how much of that purchase price of $4.4 billion is going to be financed and debt added to the balance sheet, right? It may be that, very little real money, not that it's not real money, very little new money's being put into it. You don't know. Or it might be little debt. I don't know. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see. And, you mentioned Musk. Is this going to be a model we see with security companies where people go into these so-called zombie companies that really, are living off of VC or PE money? And you got to, do an Elon Musk on them. You cut 75, 80% of the people. Run the systems on a shoestring and try to get cash flow positive as quickly and as positively as you can. Mitch, another friend of ours, Sam, wrote me this week, and the company he was working at had a 10% layoff. And it was interesting that he pointed me to a looking glass. Is that the page where you go write about employees? Employees get to write about?
Glassdoor, probably you're talking about.
Yeah, Glassdoor. I knew it was something with glass in it.
Glassdoor. I don't remember what it is. I don't look at it, but yeah.
But, it's some interesting things on there about it. Again, same kind of story. And I wonder if this is going to be something we see again and again and again in the marketplace. I mean, there's a lot of security companies out there, and I don't know how many of them are still innovating, still viable. And I'm not saying that SolarWinds is not, or any of these companies. It falls into that category. I'm just saying that this could be a trend we see happening in security, right? Because right, wrong, indifferent or not, I think we're in a very turbulent time of change. And there'll be winners and losers like there always is.
I read an article, and I don't remember where it was from, but talking about the deal market changing substantially. And how fewer deals that we're seeing M&A, whether it's PE or IPO, that kind of thing, acquisitions. Primarily because, sort of the dust is starting to settle and people are saying, well, what's this going to mean, whether it's tariffs or these cuts or whatever it is that's happening in a new administration. And, in uncertain times, right, that's when money gets tight just because of uncertainty.
Right. Well, absolutely. And that's always been true. Uncertainty is the worst because you don't know whether to spend or cut. And so you tend to get paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. And the stock price go down and, all kinds of, not so fun things. So it will be some turbulent times. There'll be a growth phase too, we'll come out of at some point as well. So
agreed. Mitch, one more thing before we wrap up. I did want to mention, you are, of course, Futurum VP analyst in DevOps and DevSecOps. Futurum's recently announced the joining of the firm by Fernando Montenegro,
Mm-hmm.
who I actually have known a long time, as it turns out. I didn't put all the pieces together. And Fernando might be joining us on the Boulevard.
Yeah, there were some discussions about where we might take the Boulevard next. And Krista Case is also working in security at Futurum. And between the three of us, we cover, let's say, the broad spectrum of security, data security and protection, privacy, and of course, software supply chain, DevSecOps. And the nice thing is, you and I have noted it, which year was it at RSA 2 or 3 years ago when suddenly we're talking about software security, when we've been expecting to do that. And now that is much more commonplace. So when you think about security, you've got now add AI to that as well. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll and make some announcements as we further those conversations about what we might do here on this podcast. But I'm excited about working with both.
Oh, absolutely.
Both
So
the other folks at Futurum.
Good stuff. All right, Mitch, that's all I've got.
Me too. Well, hang in there, and we'll talk about DeepSeek next time, or we have to save that for another one.
Yeah, there might be some other Chinese, nuclear fusion plants they're building, I heard.
Fusion plants, exactly.
We'll see. But until then, Mitch, let's wrap up. You wrap it up. Go ahead.
Well, signing off, this is Mitch Ashley and
Alan Schimmel.
And you've been listening to
Security on the Boulevard. Security Chats, baby. Security Boulevard Chats.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.